y'all, this is Tam. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually going to be doing a flip through of my December daily. Some of you may be wondering, why in the world am I doing a flip through of a December daily in the month of March? Well, some of you may know, but most of you may not. December was the month that I lost my mom to cancer, and it threw a lot of things out of, I guess, whack. Because I just couldn't get to some things that I normally would in the same amount of time if such an event had not taken place. So it was still my objective to do a December daily, whereas December was not the happiest month for me. I still thought it important to document December nonetheless. Now I realize some may do their December daily from December 1st through December 25th, but I personally do December 1st all the way through the 31st. I guess just in my mind, if I'm going to document December, I would want to do all 31 days and not just stop at Christmas Day. So that's what I normally do. And this is only my second time doing a December daily. It kind of interests me in 2018, I guess. And so I had decided that for 2019, well, no, it interests me in 2017. So I had decided in 2018 that I would do a December daily, and it was my goal to just do one every year. And so 2019, even though it wasn't the best year, I still wanted to stick to my goal of documenting 2019. Now I know some people may not be comfortable talking about death and losing a loved one, but for me, even though December was a hard, difficult month and having lost someone so very close to me, I didn't want that to deter me from documenting my life during the month of December. So I realize some people don't want to talk about death, uncomfortable with it. Some are even afraid of it, and you may not want to watch this video, and that's perfectly fine. I even had some people to unsubscribe from my other channel, which is linked below in the description of this video, where I journal in my Bible and I talk about my faith. And it was the weirdest thing. I just could not, for the life of me, understand why somebody would unsubscribe from, my channel talking about something that was a part of my life, because both of my channels, this one as well as my Bible journaling channel, is a real channel. I am myself 100%, and I just feel like that's just a big part of my life, losing my mom, and it wasn't something that I wasn't going to talk about out of fear that people would not know how to respond to it and or handle it. I honestly thought that people would they would be open to it, because I had asked for prayer on so many different occasions for my mom on that particular channel. I haven't talked about things like that so much on this channel. It's usually just strictly crafting, and I don't really get into a lot of personal things on this particular channel. But on that channel, because it is a faith-based channel, I thought it would be totally appropriate for me to ask for prayer for my mom on that channel, in addition to updating people on her condition as it changed and or developed. But I quickly learned after I shared the news of my mom passing, and the video was really emotional, and maybe that had something to do with it. People just didn't want to see me not be able to control my emotions and talk about things like that. So that could have been the reason why. I'm not really sure, but nevertheless, I talked about it. Some people didn't embrace it. Some even, unsubscribed from the channel. And I just look at that as, I just got to take my losses as well as, my wins. So those who subscribe, those who unsubscribe, it's just a revolving door. And so I shook it off and just tried to move forward. But on this particular channel, this is a channel where I do flip throughs of my completed journals. And so on this channel, you guys would see a video. If you go through my journal flip throughs, you'll see a flip through of my 2018 December daily. And so I'm going to upload this one as well. And so Some of the pages may be a little bit emotional, I guess, if you're that type of person, but for the most part, there's nothing really crazy in this journal in terms of you're not going to see any explicit photos. Like, you're not going to see my mom in her last moments, and you're not going to see any pictures of my mom in a casket or pictures of the funeral or anything like that, because I don't really know who takes pictures at a funeral, because that you're at the climax of your grief, and I feel like that is probably the most inappropriate time for people to take pictures. But you won't see any of that in my journal, because I didn't feel like that was something that it's not classy to do that when a family is grieving, to document that in photos. That's just my own personal preference. If someone you know or you yourself feel that's okay, then obviously my opinion that has, it doesn't have to affect what you believe or what you want. But you won't see anything like that. Just for people who can't handle things like that, you're not going to see anything like that in this journal. And it's just basically as much joy as I could muster up and fit in this journal. That's what I tried to do. Even though joy was not my reality, I just honestly can't think of many moments in the month of December where I could honestly say I was happy. But nevertheless, I didn't let that deter me from documenting what was happening in my reality. And that's what I'm going to flip through on today, so I can go ahead and put this journal away and just kind of move forward. I haven't done a whole lot of journaling in my junk journal, and I'm so far behind on that. I have a box of receipts and ephemera and different things that I have been collecting, and to be honest with you, I think I'm just going to move forward and not try to go back in the past to document that stuff, because it's kind of overwhelming to even think about trying to document 4 or 5 months that have gone by, and it's just a lot. So I may just stick that stuff down in the journal itself and not really try to concentrate on remembering what was happening at that particular time, and just move forward from here. So most of you have seen a flip through of this journal blank when I did before I did anything in it. And so I basically handmade this journal out of a cereal box, the back and front of a cereal box, and this is my spine. And I just took some decorative Christmas paper from, I believe it was a Happy Days Christmas paper pad. I don't remember, but if you go back to that video where I did a flip through of this journal before I decorated it on the inside, I would have had all the information about what kind of elements that I used to decorate the cover and all of that. So we're going to go ahead and not delay any further, and I'm just going to flip through. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions or your comments down below, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can once I check my notifications. So again, all of these are just elements I put together and decorated the outside of a cereal box. So the front and back covers, I actually put a pocket, and on the covers I later inserted some cards. So I may or may not be pulling things out, because I was writing about, different things and emotions and feelings and thoughts and things like that. So I don't want that to also affect someone's mood or how they feel about talking about death. And just one thing I want to put out there is, for those who are believers in Jesus Christ on this channel, even though I know it's not a faith-based channel, I would just like to say that the Bible tells us that Jesus delivered us from the sting of death, and basically death is not something that we should fear, because we know that once we transition from this life into the next, that we will be in the presence of God. So we shouldn't be afraid of death, because Jesus overcame death when he rose from the grave after he was crucified. So that's just something I want to put out there for those who are of the Christian faith, and you may be struggling with death and you may not really know how to, I guess, express it or feel about it, or you may be wrestling with some of the feelings you have about it. But one thing I would just like to encourage you with is just that you shouldn't be afraid of death. And I know our reality is, when we lose a loved one, that's probably not the first thought you have. You are dealing with human emotion, and with that comes along with human reactions. And so you cry and you mourn and you grieve, and all of that is just a part of being a human. But with that being said, we don't want to be afraid of death. I mean, you want to grieve as we're also entitled to do, but you don't want to make it seem like, it's something that you're afraid. I mean, and again, I'm not dead, you're not dead. So we don't know how we're going to feel in those final moments. But obviously, we want to just be encouraged while we are still alive and hopefully build our faith to the point where we're not afraid of that time once it does come. So just want to put that out there. So all of these elements that I'm using on these pages are basically just decorative paper along with these numbers. You'll see these throughout the journal, and they are not in chronological order. I just kind of sporadically did my pages, from December 1st through December 31st, and they're not in any particular order. So I just decorated each page using decorative paper, washi tape, along with any ephemera, Christmas-related ephemera, and I put like little sticker elements and things like that. So what I really tried to do was use up as much of my Christmas stash as I could, because I want to next year buy all new Christmas stuff. Because I think this is the second year in a row that I'm using the same elements for the most part. I think the only thing I bought for this journal that I didn't use in my last journal was a couple of paper pads, but the stickers and the alphabets and things like that, it's all stuff that I used in my journal last year. And so this is a picture of my mom, and this was actually 1 week exactly before she passed. And so she was in the hospital on this particular day, and that's my older sister. So the both of us visited her in the hospital, but she actually left to come to Georgia to live with me. So those who don't know that story, you can link on that video on my other channel where I actually talk about the final weeks that my mom was with us here. So I just don't want to get into that now, and I just want to concentrate on flipping through the journal itself. So all of these are pictures, the last pictures that we took of my mom, and these are just some of my nieces and nephews, and we all just went to the hospital to sit with her, talk with her. And it's just the weirdest thing, because on the day my mom was actually coming out of the hospital, she was in good spirits. And I mean, there was no sign whatsoever that, we should have been preparing ourselves for anything as catastrophic as it ended up being. We honestly thought, she was going to be with us a little bit longer, but again, you just never know. So that's why you hear people say, love on people while you still have the opportunity, because you just honestly do not know when it will be their last time. And so, that's just how it is. But you can see that I used old newspaper clippings and things like that too. So I tried to save little bits and pieces from the month of December, just if I came across any receipts and things like that. This is from a Happy Mail package or a pen pal package that I received in the mail from Faith, and she has a channel here on YouTube called Faithful Mess. And so I kind of put anything that I received during the month of December, any newspaper clippings, stickers, receipts, and things like that, I put them in here as well. And so you'll see several greeting cards. I know several people here on my channel mailed me Christmas cards, and I mailed everybody that I have ever received an address for Christmas cards the year before this past in 2018, but I just did not have time to do that for 2019. So I'm looking forward to a better year for 2020, and hopefully you guys will be receiving Christmas cards and things from me this year. And so I have little tuck spots and things like that here. And again, I don't want to pull things out because, some of it is kind of detailed. And I know, some people just, they're not there yet to read certain things, talk about certain things, and see certain things. So I'll show you tuck spots as I see them as I flip through, but I won't be pulling anything out completely, just so you know. And on this day, my husband and I actually went out to eat lunch, and it was on the 27th. So you'll see like little dates where I've just stamped um, dates, and as well as I used cards here. And I got this from a paper pad, and I just cut these little squares out and stuck them, and I think that went all the way through the 25th as well. So any dates after the 25th, I had to think of an alternative way to stamp that date on the page. And I tried to fill a lot of gaps because I didn't have a whole lot of pictures for the month of December like I did last year. I think I had so many pictures last year, and that kind of prompted the size of this journal for 2019. But I didn't have nowhere near as many pictures as I had last year. So I ended up having to fill gaps like this. I just put down a piece of paper with some washi and tried to decorate it, like that, because I just didn't have as many pictures. And we didn't, we weren't doing what most people are doing during the Christmas season. And this is a picture of my mom, and she's kind of laid back, smiling. Again, it was just, I don't know. I wasn't prepared for it. I just got to be honest. I wasn't. And it's just something that even right now I'm just still dealing with. I have good days, bad days, and sometimes it hits you out of nowhere, and you're like, I wish I wasn't so sad. I wish I wasn't crying. I wish I wasn't thinking about, this loss, but I just have to go through it like everybody else, and just get stronger with each year. So that's just, what I'm looking forward to. Being able to talk about her, think about her, remember her without, feeling so sad. And I know that the feeling will probably never go completely away from what I hear from other people who have lost their mom. And some will go so far as to have told me that it really doesn't get any better. You just learn how to get through each day and continue to function. So, and this was a 2-page entry that I did, and I basically cut a large image out of a magazine, and I just cut it in half and glued it on each side of the page, and surrounding it I just put some Christmas related words, and I just put them all around the page. Again, I was trying to I didn't want to have any empty pages in this journal, so I just tried to fill it with different elements so that it wouldn't be blank. I wouldn't have any blank pages. So these kind of things like this, they sent home from school from my toddler. They kind of did like Christmas related crafts at his daycare. So I glued those in here as well. And I have like little pockets and tuck spots in different places too. Again, this is a filler page. I just cut out some images from a magazine and just kind of used my word stickers, my alphabet stickers to make words, and I just have little tuck spots and different things in places. And so I'm just really glad to be done with this journal. I just got to be honest, because of, I just wanted it to be done, and be able to not have to sit at this craft table and work on it anymore. I just got to be honest. I wanted to do it, if that makes sense, but I wanted to be done with it as well. So, and that's a Christmas tree that I took at my job, in the lobby of the job, and it was kind of blurry, but I left it that way, and I kind of journaled about it. So, Christmas card that I received. And this is a homemade Christmas card from one of my pen pals, Michelle. And I kind of glued it in here, and I decorated the back part of it. And even though I put this 25 here, this isn't the 25th. This is actually the 4th. And I just kind of put that sticker here to kind of decorate the page. Another filler page. And that was actually the 30th of December, and I really didn't have much to say. Again, it's just... And this is the envelope that Happy Mail package came in from Faith. And so I just used it as a pocket, and I just glued it onto the page, and I just stuck a card on the other side. This is a receipt, and I think I mentioned on this channel before that if you use Fabri-Tac as your adhesive, it can't come in contact with receipts, or you're going to end up with this black on your receipt. It literally fades out your receipt. So some things you can't use glue stick for. It's not going to stick down the way you want it to, like these heavy elements. And if you have like chipboard pieces or cardstock pieces, you're going to have to use something a little bit stronger than a glue stick. And so I usually use Fabri-Tac for that. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is Fabri-Tac. It's a permanent strong adhesive, but the thing about it is when it comes into contact with receipt paper, it fades it out. So this is what you end up getting. I left every receipt that it did this to in this journal. You can see some of the things on the receipt. I mean, some of it is blacked out, but I left them in here. And so we're kind of ending the journal, ending the flip through. And let me just go ahead and say my outro. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you can know when I upload new videos. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I have a second channel where I journal in my Bible and talk about my faith. It is linked below in the description box. I also have an Etsy shop where I have some things for sale that I have handmade. If you're interested in seeing what I have up for sale and you may be considering supporting me in that particular way, that link is also below in the description box. So that's pretty much the flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I rambled and I was all over the place, but you know, I just went with what I felt, you know, in my heart and wanted to talk about as I did this flip through. So I hope that was okay. And you know, we just going to kind of move on from the month of December, and hopefully my follow-up videos aren't so heavy. You know, if you know there's a best word for it, I guess that would be the one that I use. So as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of my YouTube family, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.